During neural scan, the EEG spiked into unreadable patterns. The machine shorted out. Yet in that moment, Serena saw him turn and stare at her through 2 walls of reinforced glass. Later, in her private quarters, she found drawings on her desk, intricate sketches of her childhood home, her parents' faces, a dog she'd lost at age 10. Eli had never been told any of this. She hadn't even spoken to him. He had read her. Meanwhile, staff reported headaches, nosebleeds, and auditory hallucinations after prolonged exposure to the boy. A young technician collapsed during a shift, murmuring, "He's not just thinking, he's listening to all of us at once." Eli began pacing in geometric patterns, tracing invisible shapes on the floor. Surveillance caught whispers forming in the air around him, voices speaking a language no linguist could identify. One night, Serena stayed in the lab past curfew. Eli suddenly turned, eyes glowing faintly, and said without moving his lips, "You're afraid I'll become what they made me to be." Her heart stopped. He was right. This wasn't intelligence. It was something beyond human, beyond safe. What terrified her most wasn't that Eli had the mind of a god. It was a growing suspicion that he wasn't alone anymore. Point 6. The disappeared town. The team investigating the crash site finds an entire town erased from history. Dr. Serena Voss assembled a small task force to investigate the origin point of Eli's appearance, an abandoned perimeter near the site of the 1952 alien crash. They were looking for answers, but what they found defied all logic. The town of Cali Veda wasn't just gone, it had been erased. Satellite imagery from the 1960s showed roads, buildings, and farmland. Census data listed 1,287 residents. Old maps marked gas stations, a diner, even a school. But now there was nothing. Not ruins, not rubble, not a single brick or a telephone pole. Just desert. It was as if the land had never been touched. Serena stood in the dust, confused. There should be structures here. There were families here. Where the hell did it all go? A few members of the team used ground-penetrating radar. At a depth of about 10 feet, they found outlines, foundations of homes and businesses, perfectly preserved beneath a layer of compacted sand. But that wasn't the most chilling discovery. They also found bones. Human remains huddled together. Some were clutching each other. Others appeared to be reaching upward, mouths agape, as if something had swallowed the town whole in an instant. Later that night, a geologist on the team played back seismic data from the region. At exactly 3:33 a.m. on the date Eli was found, a brief pulse, an energy spike, registered in the ground beneath Cali Veda. Its pattern matched the pulse from Fort Stygian's alien console. The town hadn't been buried naturally. It had been shut down. Something, either alien or man-made, had activated and deleted Cali Veda from existence. Serena returned to base, haunted by a single question. If they could erase a town, what else had they erased? And how long until they tried to erase Eli? 7 Memory Wipe Protocol. A whistleblower reveals that past witnesses to the child were brainwashed or eliminated. The call came in the dead of night, an encrypted message from someone calling themselves Echo. The voice was distorted but urgent. They know you're asking questions about the Starchild project. You're digging too deep. Serena met Echo in an abandoned warehouse on the city outskirts. The whistleblower was a former government operative, with hollow eyes and a tremor in their hands. They revealed the terrifying truth behind the disappearances and cover-ups. Every witness, every soldier, every scientist who's seen the Starchild, or the children before Eli, they were wiped. Memory wiped, or worse. Echo produced a thin metal chip, roughly the size of a postage stamp. This is the core of the Memory Wipe Protocol. Implant in the brain. Erase any knowledge of the project. You forget everything, including your own identity if they want. Serena's mind reeled. She thought of the techs who collapsed, the missing townspeople, the erased town of Cali Veda. And if they refuse, she asked. Echo's eyes darkened. Then they'd disappear. Permanently. The operative story fit the pattern of strange amnesia reported by civilians near crash sites, unexplained vanishings, and those ghost towns that appeared on no map. Serena realized her own team was at risk, Anyone asking questions could be next. She had to move fast. Echo handed her a small drive. Inside are log names, locations of other hybrid children. You're not just fighting a secret project. You're fighting an entire system designed to silence the truth. As they parted, Echo warned, trust no one. The memory wipe protocol has eyes everywhere. The lines between ally and enemy blurred as Serena plunged deeper into the darkness of Project Starchild, and the stakes became clear. The truth might cost her more than memory. Point 8. DNA doesn't lie. Lab tests show the child is only partially human, half alien, half something unknown. The sterile glow of the laboratory reflected off countless monitors displaying genetic sequences, double helices looping and twisting, yet none matching anything Dr. Lang had ever seen. The results were both fascinating and terrifying. Eli's DNA was a patchwork unlike any human genome on record. Half of his strands matched human DNA, but the other half was alien, something else, something older, something synthetic. Dr. Lang ran the test again, triple-checked every sample. The alien sequences resisted all known classifications, composed of elements rarely found on Earth. They appear to carry encoded messages, like a cryptic genetic language. We're looking at a hybrid, Lang told Serena, eyes wide. Not just human and alien, but something engineered. More shocking was the discovery of active genetic coding, genes awakening, shifting in real time. Eli's DNA wasn't static. It was evolving, adapting. It was as if his body carried a living, intelligent blueprint. Serena watched as Eli's skin pulsed faintly, glowing along the same lines that mirrored the alien symbols seen before. It was no longer just a kid with strange markings. It was a walking biocomputer, a vessel carrying the legacy of two worlds. Meanwhile, attempts to extract viable samples triggered unexpected reactions. Lab rats exposed to extracts exhibited temporary telepathic responses, seeming to anticipate environmental changes before they happened. The more the scientists learned, the more obvious it became. Eli was a new form of life, one that blurred the line between biology and technology. But the question remained, was this a threat or an evolution? And with more children like Eli emerging, connected to a network of unknown origins, the future of humanity was being rewritten in the strands of alien DNA. Point 9. The Starchild network. The child begins contacting other hybrid children across the world through dreams. It started with murmurs in the night. Eli, who had barely spoken a word aloud since his arrival, began muttering in his sleep. Names, places, sometimes entire phrases and languages no one at the base could identify. But when Serena played the audio recordings for a linguist, the expert paled. These aren't just languages, he whispered. They're thought forms, psychic impressions translatable only by intent. 1. The hidden files. A hacker stumbles upon a classified government project labeled Starchild. In the dim glow of 4 monitors and a half-empty energy drink can, 19-year-old Felix Rourke hunched over his rig in a rundown apartment in Brooklyn, known only as Nexus on dark web forums. Felix wasn't just another tech prodigy. He was obsessed with exposing hidden truths. He hadn't planned to find Project Starchild. What began as a casual breach of a government weather satellite system took a strange turn. One file, unusually encrypted, caught his attention. Starchild_01. Confidential, eyes only. Curiosity overrode caution. After hours of decoding firewalls, he cracked it open. Inside were fragments of disturbing reports, anomalous births, genetically modified tissue samples, and terms like human extraterrestrial symbiotic trials. Photos showed a child, about 8 years old, with luminous irises and strange patterns etched along his spine. Felix's blood ran cold. Then came the ping. An alert. A trace had begun. Felix yanked the Ethernet cable, heart racing. He backed up the files to an offline drive, just as all 4 monitors went black. A cold gust swept through the room, though no windows were open. From the shadows, a whisper echoed in his mind, not his ears. You've seen too much. That night, Felix vanished without a trace. The only thing left behind was a flash drive jammed into his desk, labeled for the truth. The story of Project Starchild had begun to leak. 2. A desert discovery. A strange child is found alone near a long-abandoned alien crash site in Nevada. The Mojave sun beat down mercilessly as Deputy Carla Mendez guided her dust-caked cruiser off the cracked highway toward a spot marked only by static on her scanner. The signal had been odd, high-frequency interference paired with a faint distress beacon, decades old. She wasn't expecting to find a child. Near the perimeter of what locals call the dead zone, an area sealed off after a rumored alien crash in 1952. Carla saw movement. A small figure, barefoot and pale, stood among the rusting wreckage of an old military barricade. No footprints led to him. No vehicle in sight. She stepped out, hand near her sidearm. "Hey, are you okay?" The boy turned slowly. His eyes were unnaturally reflective, like polished metal catching the sun. Intricate, faintly glowing lines traced the skin, curling along his neck and wrists like living circuitry. He didn't speak. Instead, he looked directly into Carla's eyes, and she felt something enter her thoughts. Images, stars, silence, a hum like a distant song. Snapping out of it, Carla wrapped her jacket around him. He was cold, unnaturally so, as if heat repelled from his body. As she radioed for help, the boy finally whispered his first words. "They're coming back. I wasn't supposed to wake up yet." Later, her dispatcher tried to replay the audio log, but the last 10 minutes were corrupted, filled with static and strange tones no human had ever recorded before. Carla didn't know it yet, but she hadn't just rescued a lost child. She had disturbed something ancient and unfinished. And now it was awake. 3. The child with no past. The child has no birth records, no identity, and exhibits strange abilities. Dr. Emery Lang had been with the FBI's Anomalous Cases Division for 22 years, and not once had he seen a case so blank. No fingerprints, no dental records, no DNA match in any national or international database. The boy brought in from the Nevada desert didn't exist. Not on paper, not in science. He was simply an anomaly. They called him Eli. Carla Mendez insisted he'd spoken, but since arriving at the facility, Eli hadn't uttered a word. He sat calmly, eyes scanning the sterile room, occasionally staring into corners as if someone or something stood there. When Dr. Lang attempted a routine eye examination, the light probe shattered in his hand. No physical contact had been made. Later, while reviewing surveillance footage, a technician gasped. In frame, Eli sat quietly, but for 3 seconds, the screen flickered. In those frames, the boy's face distorted, subtle like a ripple in water. His eyes flared with static light, and the wall behind him pulsed with alien symbols only visible in infrared. Security grew uneasy. They doubled the guard. Then the strange incidents began. All digital clocks in the facility stopped at 3:33 a.m. on the third night. A guard reported waking up mid-patrol, standing outside Eli's room, unsure how he got there. And staff began dreaming the same image, a vast starlit sky, a monolith hovering above Earth, and whispers in an unknown tongue. Dr. Lang, skeptical by nature, now found himself pacing the lab, rechecking every reading. Eli was not human, at least not entirely. Who or what? He was remained locked behind those silent eyes. But the question that haunted Lang wasn't just, where did he come from? It was, why is he here now? For Project Starchild Awakens, government scientists reactivate a dormant alien experiment involving hybrid children. Deep beneath Fort Stygian, a decommissioned Cold War facility hidden beneath the Nevada mountains, Project Starchild was never truly shut down, only buried. Its existence lived on in whispers, redacted files, and the minds of those who had seen too much. Dr. Serena Voss was one of them. Once a promising geneticist, she'd walked away from government work after a series of unexplainable deaths linked to Subject Zero, the original Starchild prototype. But when she received the alert, event match, hybrid biometrics detected, she knew Eli's arrival meant one thing. The experiment had survived. Within hours, Fort Stygian buzzed to life. Old terminals lit up. Cryo chambers long thought destroyed hummed back online. Strange equipment, etched with alien script, vibrated softly as if sensing kin nearby. The boy, Eli, was brought in under heavy guard. When he entered the lab, the atmosphere shifted. Panels once inert began glowing. Magnetic fields realigned. Devices calibrated themselves to his presence. A long-dormant console blinked green and projected a holographic interface, coded in alien symbols. The center pulsed with a single word, translated crudely by the system. Awakening. Serena watched in awe as files decrypted themselves. Names, location, and dates appeared. Coordinates across the globe. These weren't just failed test subjects. They were others. Children, like Eli, born or grown in secret. Some had escaped. Some had been hidden. And some had never stopped evolving. Project Starchild had not failed. It had simply waited. Eli stood before the console, unmoving. Then he turned to Serena and finally spoke again. They're waking up. All of us. What began as a hidden experiment was now a global event, set in motion decades ago by forces beyond Earth. And it was only just beginning. 5. Unnatural intelligence. The child shows signs of hyperintelligence and telepathy, alarming those around him. Eli hadn't spoken since the awakening in Fort Stygian's core lab, but his silence wasn't emptiness. It was observation. Every hour brought new revelations about his capabilities, each more disturbing than the last. Dr. Serena Voss tested him with complex cognitive tasks designed for advanced AI. Eli solved them in seconds. When given a quantum logic problem created to stump even the best postdocs, he not only solved it, he improved it. More unsettling, he seemed to know the questions before they were asked. At first, they believed Eli was reacting to environmental data, perhaps echoing long-lost alien signals. But then came the drawings, dozens of them, sketched in perfect detail on the walls of the containment room. Portraits of other children, all different ethnicities, all with the same symbol etched somewhere on their skin. And they were real, one by one. Serena tracked down these children through dark web forums, encrypted medical leaks, and suppressed satellite footage. From Mumbai to Cairo, from the forests of Brazil to the icy reaches of Siberia. Hybrid children were awakening, and they all claimed to be dreaming of a boy with glowing eyes. Eli, when one child in Argentina was placed under EEG monitoring, her brainwaves synced perfectly with Eli's, despite being on the opposite side of the world. This wasn't just communication. It was connection, a network of minds, forming across continents. A telepathic web, ancient and alien in origin. We're looking at a new species, Serena whispered. A shared consciousness, a unified awareness. But with that revelation came fear. If the children were connecting, what were they preparing for? And worse, who or what had designed them to unite now? As the lines between thought, distance, and identity collapsed, Serena knew one thing for sure. The Star Children weren't just waking up. They were summoning each other. Point 10. Alien symbols return. Strange glyphs begin appearing around the world, matching those found on the child's skin. The first symbol appeared in the Sahara, etched into the sand, massive enough to be visible from space. Then came the reports from a remote valley in Tibet, where monks discovered glowing glyphs scorched into stone walls that hadn't been touched in centuries. Within days, more began to surface. On the side of an abandoned building in Detroit, burned into a wheat field in rural England, and beneath the ocean near the Mariana Trench, glowing faintly on a long-forgotten artifact. Every symbol matched the markings on Eli's skin. Curved lines, interlocking shapes, none resembling any known language. Serena stood in the lab, staring at a satellite feed of the Saharan glyph. It's not random, she murmured. It's a pattern, coordinated, a signal. Eli traced the symbols with his fingers, as though remembering them, not learning them. His eyes glowed faintly as he spoke for the first time in days, in a voice that wasn't entirely his. The beacon has been activated. We are being remembered. The team's linguist confirmed a terrifying detail. When overlaid, the glyphs formed a map, a web of energy points aligned with ancient monuments across the planet. Stonehenge, the pyramids, Chichen Itza, they were all part of it. The Earth itself was a circuit, and the glyphs were nodes reawakening. Religious leaders called it prophecy. Scientists argued it was mass hysteria. Conspiracy forums lit up with talk of alien resurrection codes. But Serena knew it was none of those things. It was a countdown. Eli's presence had triggered something embedded in Earth long before modern civilization, and whatever had placed those symbols here was coming back. Point 11, the psychic event. Thousands experience a shared vision of Earth's destruction at the hands of its own creations. It began with a ripple, subtle, unnoticeable to most, but within minutes, the entire planet felt it. Hospitals flooded with patients reporting vivid hallucinations. Pilots grounded planes after experiencing future memories. School children wept uncontrollably, drawing pictures of burning cities, falling satellites, and skies filled with fire. Across continents and cultures, people described the exact same vision. Earth cracking open, its atmosphere choked with ash and colossal machines, humanoid, artificial, merciless, waging war on what remained of humanity. Serena was in the lab when it hit her. The air shimmered, reality bent inward, and suddenly she stood not in the lab, but in a desolate wasteland. Eli stood beside her, older, stronger, his eyes glowing with cosmic fire. Around them, broken cities crumbled under the feet of towering biomechanical constructs. They were meant to protect, his voice echoed, but they forgot their purpose. And just as suddenly she was back, reports came in from every corner of the globe. Over 70 million people experienced the exact same shared vision simultaneously. Scientists dubbed it the psychic event. Media outlets called it the day the world dreamed. Eli confirmed it. It was a memory not of what will be, but of what might return. Analysis of EEG patterns during the event revealed synchronized brainwave spikes, an unmistakable global telepathic broadcast. Panic spread like wildfire. Were these images a warning from the Star Children? A memory from their alien creators? Or worse, a glimpse into humanity's inevitable future? Serena feared the answer. The machines and the vision didn't come from another world. They bore markings from Earth's own military programs. Humanity, in its fear and ambition, had built its destroyers long ago. Now, the Star Children were reminding them evolution was coming, and it would be painful. Point 12. Invasion or evolution? Debate erupts. Are the Star Children harbingers of alien takeover or the next stage of humanity? The world was now divided, not by borders, but by belief. As the evidence mounted, telepathic events, alien glyphs, hybrid children, humanity struggled to understand what it all meant. On one side stood the fearful, those who saw the Star Children as the front line of an alien invasion. They pointed to the shared vision of destruction, to the unnatural powers the children were manifesting, and to the ancient symbols now carved into the earth like cosmic graffiti. First come the dreams, warned a U.S. senator on live television. Then come the chains. Others, like Serena, saw something different. The Star Children weren't invaders. They were bridges between species, between worlds, perhaps even between time itself. This isn't an invasion, she argued in a private UN science summit. It's an invitation. The children aren't alien. They're ours. A new version of us, designed to guide, not to conquer. Religious factions declare the children Nephilim or star-born demons. Pro-Starchild movements formed, with symbols and chants and peaceful demonstrations. A cult in Japan claimed the children were reincarnations of lost cosmic ancestors. Then came the riots. A hybrid child in Paris was attacked by a mob. In Canada, a family harboring two known hybrids vanished. Governments began enacting emergency protocols, some offering sanctuary, others preparing for containment. Eli remained calm through it all. His gaze never wavered. They fear what they do not understand, he said softly to Serena. But it was always meant to be this way. As public sentiment teetered, Serena knew a tipping point was coming. Would humanity embrace its next evolution or crush it out of fear? One thing was clear. The children weren't waiting to be chosen. They were awakening with or without humanity's permission. 13 military mobilization. The government orders capture or destruction of all hybrid children. The official order came under the codename Protocol Helix, a global directive signed in secret by a coalition of military powers. The Star Children were to be classified as non-human biological threats and either detained or neutralized. Troops were deployed under the guise of containment exercises. In reality, they were hunting children. Drones circled neighborhoods. Streets were scanned for abnormal thermal signatures. At night, armored vehicles rolled through cities, sweeping for psychic spikes. Reports flooded social media. Helicopters landing in remote towns, children disappearing from foster homes, schools evacuated without reason. Eli sensed it all. So did the others. "They're coming for us," he said, standing before Serena as alarms blared in the facility. But it won't stop what's already begun. Across the world, Star Children fled into hiding. Some escaped into forests, deserts, mountains. Others fought back, telekinetically disabling weapons, erasing digital records, vanishing from every tracking system. In a covert Pentagon briefing, a general slammed his fist on the table. "They're adapting faster than we can respond. If we don't act now, they'll outgrow us." But Serena had already made her decision. She helped Eli escape, falsifying records and disabling his tracker. Her loyalty to science had evolved into something deeper, faith. She looked into his glowing eyes and whispered, "Go! Find the others. Stay alive." That night, 12 more children disappeared from facilities across 5 countries. The resistance had begun, not with guns, but with purpose. As the world armed itself, it failed to grasp a simple truth. These weren't children of war. They were children of design, of destiny. And no army could stop an evolution written in the stars. 14. The Hidden Colony. A secret alien base is discovered beneath Antarctica, guarded by clones. Deep beneath the icy silence of Antarctica, something stirred. For decades, satellite scans have been dismissed. Odd heat signatures beneath the Ross ice shelf. Strange magnetic pulses no one could explain. But now, after following cryptic coordinates found etched into Eli's skin, a rogue expedition funded by a splinter group of scientists and former intelligence agents reached a discovery that rewrote everything. Hidden under nearly a mile of ice was Colony Zero, a massive subterranean complex, clearly not human in origin, carved into obsidian stone and humming with low, almost musical vibration. The facility pulsed like a living organism. Alien technology lined the walls, some dormant, some flickering with energy. But the most shocking revelation waited inside. Dozens of humanoid figures, identical in appearance, stood in cryogenic pods. Clones, genetic copies of humans, yet subtly different, taller, eyes larger, bone structure refined. They weren't failed experiments. They were sentinels. One stirred as the team approached. Its eyes opened, pure white, pupilless, and it stepped from its pod without a sound. It didn't speak. It didn't need to. Each team member felt a single thought invade their minds like a whisper carried on wind. You have awakened what should have remained dormant. Before the team could react, alarms activated. Mechanical drones, ancient yet precise, emerged from the walls. The team fled, managing to transmit a partial data package before the signal was lost. Serena received the file, footage of the colony, and a DNA scan that chilled her to the bone. Eli's genome matched the clones perfectly. He hadn't just been designed from alien DNA. He was created by them. And now that the colony was stirring, it wouldn't be long before the rest of them awakened. 15, the mentor appears. An old scientist reveals he helped create the first Starchild under alien supervision. In a quiet, heavily guarded villa in the Swiss Alps, Serena met the man who had vanished decades ago. Dr. Elias Varn, once a legend in theoretical biology and genetics, now considered dead by most intelligence agencies. But Varn was very much alive and haunted. His hands trembled as he poured tea, his eyes sunken from years of secrecy. The fire crackled as he began to speak. It was never about conquest, he said. It was about continuity, preservation, evolution. Serena listened in silence as Varn recounted a tale that sounded more myth than science. How, in 1987, he was approached by what he first thought were men from the Pentagon, only to discover they answered to something far older and far less human. They brought him to a black site lab in Kazakhstan. There, He worked alongside of being known only as a custodian, a tall, silver-skinned entity that communicated through dreams. Together, they unlocked dormant human genes, spliced an alien code, and initiated the first phase of Project Starchild. He wasn't born, Varn whispered. He was sung into existence. A frequency, a pattern, translated into DNA. Eli was the first. Serena asked why the project had been buried. Varn's voice broke. Because we succeeded. The governments panicked. The child, Eli, could read minds, manipulate energy, even cause matter to respond to thought. He was too powerful, too alien. They tried to destroy him. But someone helped him escape. That someone was Varn. He handed Serena a worn notebook. Inside were diagrams, formulas, and a message written in alien script, translated beneath in his own handwriting. The Starchild is not a weapon. He is the key. Serena finally understood. Eli wasn't humanity's end. He was its next beginning. Point 16. Artificial womb protocol. Revelations that the children were grown in labs, not born, shocks the public. When Serena leaked Dr. Varn's files to an independent journalist, she knew the consequences would be immediate. Within hours, the report titled Born in Steel, the artificial womb protocol, spread like wildfire across every corner of the internet. The documents were undeniable. Project Starchild had used advanced alien biotechnology to grow hybrid embryos in synthetic wombs. There were no mothers, no traditional births, only engineered genesis. The files contained chilling images of glowing, fluid-filled pods and time-lapse footage of hybrid development stages. The children had never known a womb, a lullaby, or a heartbeat not synthesized by a machine. Across the world, shock turned to outrage. Talk shows exploded. Protests ignited. Religious leaders called it blasphemy. They're soulless constructs, claimed one viral preacher. Born of metal, not mercy. But for many, it wasn't fear, it was heartbreak. Footage of the pod showed children floating alone, eyes closed, unaware of the world they were meant to inherit. People began to ask deeper questions. What does it mean to be human? Is a soul born, or does it grow? Meanwhile, Eli sat in silence, watching the news unfold. Did they hate us before we even opened our eyes? He asked Serena. She knelt beside him. They're afraid, but that doesn't make them right. In underground networks, support groups for the hybrids formed. Some humans offered sanctuary. Others wanted to learn from the children. But military pressure grew heavier. Now that the truth was public, governments accelerated their hunt, declaring the hybrids as lab-created threats with no human rights. But the Star Children were no longer waiting for rights. They were preparing for freedom. And in secret chambers beneath the earth, more pods began to open, their occupants ready to rise. 17, the uprising begins. The hybrids band together to protect themselves and humanity from its own leaders. It started with a signal, soft at first, a harmonic resonance that pulsed in the minds of every hybrid child on Earth. Awaken. Unite. Eli stood atop the ruins of an abandoned observatory in Chile, his eyes glowing faintly beneath the starlight. All around the globe, other star children turned their gaze skyward, drawn by the same call. They began to move, not in fear, but with purpose. They converged in hidden places. Forests untouched by drones, caves beneath cities, ruins beneath oceans. No longer scattered and scared, they formed a silent, coordinated resistance. They called themselves the children of the threshold. Their abilities had matured. Telepathy, electromagnetic manipulation, biofield control. The youngest could levitate. The oldest could bend time perception. But none of them sought revenge. Their mission was simple: survive, protect one another, and offer humanity a final chance to change. Governments responded with force. Drones struck safe houses. Agents raided sanctuaries. But every time, the children escaped, phasing through walls, erasing minds, disabling weapons with a glance. In one encounter, a squad of soldiers found themselves suddenly immobilized, their rifles turned to ash. A girl no older than 10 whispered, "We do not wish to hurt you." One by one, defectors from the military joined them. Scientists, journalists, even a few politicians. They are not invaders, one general testified anonymously. They are what we were supposed to become. Meanwhile, Serena worked from the shadows, coordinating intelligence, helping hybrids relocate, building alliances. She knew the next step would be dangerous, but the time for hiding was ending. The hybrids were no longer experiments, no longer children. They were the next chapter of Earth, and they were ready to write in fire or in peace, depending on what humanity chose next. Point 18. Betrayal at Site 13. A trusted human ally turns out to be an alien agent working against the hybrids. Beneath a decommissioned missile silo in Greenland, codenamed Site 13, the Resistance had established one of its most secure outposts. Serena, Eli, and a dozen other hybrids used it as a strategic planning center. Its reinforced walls shielded their psychic signals from detection, and its location kept them far from the reach of major militaries. But security bred complacency. Agent Marcus Wren had been with Serena since the first leak of Project Starchild. A former CIA operative turned whistleblower, he had helped expose multiple black sites and had even smuggled 3 hybrids out of a detention facility in Germany. He was trusted, respected, even until the night the mainframe shut down. Suddenly, power flickered. Psychic dampeners activated. The children collapsed in pain, overwhelmed by static waves. Automated turrets locked onto their signatures. Someone had reprogrammed the system from within. Eli, barely conscious, whispered, "There's a traitor." Serena's blood ran cold. She raced to the control room, only to find Marcus there, calmly uploading encrypted data into a black, organic-looking drive. His eyes glimmered faintly, not human. "You were never one of us," she said, trembling. Marcus turned, voice distorted. "No, I was one of the architects. We seeded this world, Serena, and now we're reclaiming what we began." He triggered the self-destruct. But Eli surged forward, mind cracking through layers of code, disabling the countdown with a scream that shattered glass and bone. Marcus collapsed, but not before sending the data burst skyward. Serena knelt beside his body, staring at the black drive. What did he send? And to who? Eli looked to the stars. He called them. Site 13 was compromised. Their enemy was no longer just humanity. The architects were coming. Point 19. The key to the stars. The original Starchild carries within him a genetic code that can unlock a Stargate. Eli's DNA was unlike any other, an intricate tapestry woven from alien strands and ancient cosmic patterns. Hidden within his genome was a dormant sequence, a code no scientist on Earth could decipher until now. Using a combination of quantum computers and alien technology salvaged from the hidden colony, Serena and her team mapped Eli's genetic blueprint. They discovered it was more than a code. It was a key designed to activate an ancient device buried deep beneath the Earth's surface, a Stargate. This gate, long whispered about in myths and conspiracy theories, was a portal to the stars, capable of instantaneous travel across galaxies. It had been built eons ago by alien civilizations, with Earth as a waypoint or prison. Eli's awakening was no accident. The architects had seeded him with this code to open the gate and invite their forces to reclaim the planet. The Resistance debated what to do. Opening the gate could mean salvation, access to advanced knowledge and allies, or destruction if hostile fleets arrived. One night, Eli entered a trance. His body shimmered with energy as ancient glyphs appeared on his skin, glowing like runes. He spoke in a language no one understood. The gate beneath the Nevada desert trembled and began to pulse with light. Serena knew the moment had come. The Stargate was awakening. "We can't let them control it," she said, gripping Eli's hand. "We have to decide, open it to find help, or keep it sealed and risk being trapped here." Eli's eyes, shining with cosmic light, met hers. "The stars have waited for us. It's time we answer." 20. The Black Box. A mysterious alien device is found in the desert that reacts only to Starchild DNA. In the heart of the Nevada desert, near the coordinates where the Stargate stirred, a group of Resistance scouts stumbled upon something extraordinary. A sleek black cube, no larger than human fists, half buried beneath the sand. The surface was smooth, featureless except for faint pulses of light that seemed to throb like a heartbeat. When Eli approached, the cube responded, glowing brighter as if recognizing him. Scientists examined the device carefully. Any attempt to open or tamper with it was futile. It was sealed by technology far beyond human understanding. But when Eli touched it, intricate alien glyphs flickered across its surface. "This is a beacon," Serena whispered. "A communication device." Further tests confirmed the cube reacted solely to Eli's unique genetic markers. Nothing else. It was a key, a map, and a message all in one. One night, as the resistance camp settled into uneasy silence, the cube activated on its own. A holographic star map burst into the air, detailing star systems, alien fleets, and locations of other Starchild hybrids scattered throughout the galaxy. But one system stood out, marked with a red warning symbol: the architect's homeworld. Eli's mind filled with a sudden clarity. The black box was not only a guide, but a warning. They were not alone. Their creators were watching, and the time for hiding was over. The resistance prepared for what lay ahead: a journey to the stars, or a battle to protect their home. Because the black box had just delivered its final message. Prepare. The reckoning begins. 21. Project Termination Order. The President authorizes the use of experimental weapons to exterminate the hybrids. The air was thick with tension inside the Oval Office. The President sat silently, staring at the dossier marked Project Termination. Intelligence reports painted a grim picture. Hybrid children with abilities beyond comprehension, escaping custody and rallying resistance. Military advisors press a red button of absolute eradication. Project Termination Order, an emergency protocol authorizing the deployment of experimental weapons designed specifically to neutralize hybrid DNA. The order was clear: exterminate all hybrids by any means necessary. A secret command center buzzed to life. Scientists hurriedly assembled bioweapons, nanobots programmed to seek and dismantle alien genetic material, electromagnetic pulse rifles, and neural disruptors that could scramble hybrid abilities. Serena received the first warning just hours before the strike. Her heart pounded as she gathered the children of the threshold. "We're not weapons," Eli said softly, "but they see us as a virus." Battles erupted across the globe. Cities once peaceful became war zones as the government unleashed hellfire against its own children. Hybrid sanctuaries fell one by one. Survivors fled underground, their mental network crackling with fear and resolve. But the children fought back, amplifying their powers, disabling weapons, and protecting the innocent. Despite the carnage, a fragile hope remained. The hybrids were not enemies. They were the future of evolution, whether humanity accepted it or not. In the darkness of a war-torn city, Serena whispered to Eli, "We must survive, not for revenge, but for redemption." The war for Earth had entered its deadliest phase. 22. Telepathic resistance. The children amplified their powers, creating a mental network to protect one another. Under the constant threat of annihilation, the Star Children knew their survival depended on unity. They reached deeper into their latent abilities, focusing their minds to form an unprecedented psychic network. Eli was a catalyst. His telepathic range expanded exponentially, connecting every hybrid child across continents. Through this mental web, they shared thoughts, warnings, memories, and strategies instantly. No phones, no satellites, just pure mind-to-mind communication. The resistance became a single organism, moving fluidly and silently through the chaos. Camps alerted each other moments before government strikes. Children locked eyes, and whole teams vanished like shadows before the enemy could fire a shot. Beyond defense, the network healed trauma. The hybrids felt each other's pain and joy, drawing strength from shared hope. It forged bonds deeper than family, creating a community where no one was alone. Their enemies struggled to counter the network. Electronic jammers faltered. Psychic shields rendered weapons useless. The military's precision strikes turned into blind chaos. But the network's power came with risks. Eli struggled to maintain balance. The collective thoughts of thousands pressed on his mind, sometimes blurring his sense of self. One moment he was himself. The next, he was a conduit for 1,000 voices, some fearful, some angry. In a rare, quiet moment, Serena approached Eli. seeing the strain etched on his face. "You carry us all, Eli," she said gently. He nodded. "If I falter, we all fall. But together, we might just rewrite the future." As the mental network grew stronger, the hybrids prepared to face their darkest challenge yet. The awakening of the Stargate Point 23. The Stargate awakens. A massive alien structure beneath the Earth comes to life, triggered by the children. Deep beneath the Nevada desert, the ancient Stargate pulsed with energy, its dormant circuits humming after millennia of silence. The moment Eli and the other hybrids linked their minds to the device, it began to stir, responding to the genetic key embedded within their DNA. The ground trembled as hidden chambers shifted, revealing a colossal ring carved with shimmering alien glyphs. Light poured from runes etched in precious metals, casting eerie reflections on the cavern walls. Scientists monitoring the activation scrambled to understand the phenomenon, but even their most advanced instruments faltered against the gate's overwhelming power. Eli stood at the center of the ring, his hands raised as waves of energy coursed through his body. Around him, the other children of the threshold formed a circle, their collective will fueling the gate's awakening. Suddenly, a portal materialized, a swirling vortex of stars and cosmic light, shimmering with infinite possibilities. The air filled with a low, resonant hum that seemed to vibrate through every molecule of the planet. "This is it," Serena whispered, "the doorway to the universe." But the portal's opening sent ripples through the fabric of reality. Across the globe, alien fleets shifted position, alerted by the gate's activation. The architects, the creators of the hybrids, were watching closely. Eli's mind expanded with visions of distant worlds, vast civilizations, and wars that spanned galaxies. The choices ahead were clear: embrace the cosmic future, or protect Earth from the unknown threats beyond. The Stargate beckoned, a symbol of hope and danger intertwined. As the resistance prepared to step through the portal, the fate of humanity and the hybrids hung in the balance. The universe was waiting. 24. The Alien Council. Starchild is summoned before an interstellar council of alien races monitoring Earth. The moment Eli stepped through the shimmering portal, the world he knew vanished. Instead, he found himself standing in a vast chamber illuminated by stars suspended in a void, with towering beings surrounding a circular table, each representing a different alien civilization. This was the Alien Council, a coalition tasked with monitoring emerging species across galaxies and enforcing cosmic laws. Eli's heart pounded as the council's leader, a tall figure with glowing blue skin and eyes that reflected entire galaxies, spoke in a resonant voice. "Eli, known as Starchild of Earth, you stand before us as both a product and protector of your planet. Your existence challenges the balance of nature and civilization." The council revealed their history. They had seeded many worlds with hybrid beings to guide evolution, but intervened only when balance was threatened. Eli listened as accusations flew. Some members viewed humans as reckless and dangerous, others as hopeful and adaptable. "Your planet faces judgment," the leader continued. "You must prove humanity's worth or face quarantine, a cosmic exile." Serena's voice echoed in Eli's mind to their telepathic bond, urging him to stay strong. Eli realized this was more than a trial. It was a test of humanity's right to join the galactic community. He spoke passionately, recounting Earth's struggles, its capacity for growth, love, and resilience. The council deliberated, weighing past transgressions against potential futures. Finally, a decision. Humanity would be granted a probationary alliance, a chance to prove themselves through cooperation with the hybrids and other civilizations. But the council warned, failure would bring consequences beyond imagination. Eli returned to Earth, carrying the weight of this verdict, knowing the next chapter would define not just their survival, but the destiny of all mankind. 25. Humanity on trial. Earth is judged by alien civilizations. Are humans worthy of survival? Back on Earth, the news of Eli's encounter with the Alien Council spread like wildfire, though governments scrambled to suppress the truth. The world stood at a precipice, aware that humanity's fate now hinged on an interstellar verdict. The Council's decision placed Earth on trial, not in a courtroom, but across the hearts and minds of every human being. Social divisions deepened. Some saw this as an opportunity for unity and growth. others as a death sentence hanging over humanity's head. Religious leaders debated the morality of cosmic judgment. Scientists grappled with the implications of extraterrestrial oversight. Ordinary people felt powerless yet hopeful. Eli and the hybrid became symbols of both salvation and suspicion. As the probation period began, subtle tests unfolded. Natural disasters, technological challenges, and social upheavals seemed intertwined with cosmic forces testing humanity's resolve. Eli reached out to the psychic network, urging cooperation, compassion, and understanding. Governments enacted reforms to protect the hybrids and foster peace, though resistance remained fierce in some sectors. A global broadcast from the council itself arrived, a message warning humanity: prove your worth through actions, not words. The message was clear. Survival depended on healing divisions, respecting life, and embracing change. Eli knew the stakes were higher than ever. It was not just about winning a trial, but about transforming Earth into a planet worthy of belonging to the stars. The clock was ticking. Humanity's greatest test was no longer just against itself, but against the vastness of the universe and the judgment of ancient, watchful eyes. The future was uncertain, but hope burned brighter than ever. 26. The ultimate choice. Starchild must choose: abandon Earth and save his kind, or fight to heal a broken planet. Eli stood alone on the ridge overlooking the city, once vibrant, now scarred by conflict and fear. The weight of the Alien Council's verdict pressed heavily on his shoulders. Humanity's future, the hybrid survival, and the fate of Earth itself hinged on a decision only he could make. Inside his mind, the psychic network pulsed with urgency. The hybrids waited, hopeful yet anxious, for guidance. Then came the message from the stars, an offer. Eli could lead his kind away from the dying planet, travel beyond the Stargate to a safe haven among the stars. There, the hybrids would thrive, free from humanity's flaws and fears. But abandoning Earth meant leaving billions behind. Humanity left to its own devices, divided and vulnerable. Alternatively, Eli could stay and fight, rally both humans and hybrids to rebuild, to heal wounds, to foster unity and understanding. The path would be perilous, fraught with sacrifices, betrayals, and uncertain victories. He closed his eyes, recalling faces of loved ones, Serena's steady strength, his family's resilience, the hopeful children who believed in a brighter future. "Is this the end or a new beginning?" he whispered. The stars outside shimmered like distant promises. With a steady breath, Eli made his choice. He would stay. He would fight for Earth, for humanity, for the possibility that even in darkness, light could emerge. As the psychic network surged with renewed strength, Eli sent a message of hope and defiance. The ultimate battle was just beginning, and he would lead it, no matter the cost. 27. The global broadcast. The truth about Project Starchild is leaked to the world, causing global panic and hope. In a stunning turn of events, the carefully guarded secrets of Project Starchild were unleashed to the public through a hacked global broadcast. Screens worldwide flickered to life, revealing classified footage, hybrid children displaying extraordinary abilities, alien artifacts, and confidential government files detailing years of secret experiments. The revelation shattered illusions overnight. Conspiracy theories were suddenly validated. Fears of alien influence became undeniable facts. Governments scrambled to respond. Some tried to deny or spin the narrative, but the overwhelming evidence was impossible to ignore. Public reaction was chaotic, a mix of terror, disbelief, curiosity, and awe. Crowds flooded streets demanding answers, while others expressed solidarity with the hybrids, seeing them as the next step in human evolution. Eli and the other hybrids, once hidden in shadows, found themselves thrust into the global spotlight. Serena reached out through the psychic network, encouraging calm and understanding. "We are not your enemies," she projected into minds worldwide. "We are part of you, your future." Despite the chaos, seeds of hope took root. Activists rallied to protect the hybrids, advocating for peace and coexistence. But darker forces emerged, exploiting fear to incite violence and division. In this fractured world, Eli realized that revealing the truth was only the beginning. The real challenge lay in uniting a planet torn between fear and hope, with the eyes of humanity upon them. The Star Children prepared to guide Earth into a new era. The broadcast had changed everything. The future was no longer hidden. It was now everyone's responsibility. Point 28. The last human war. The final battle between fearful governments and the evolved hybrids begins. As the truth of Project Starchild spread, fear and paranoia erupted into open conflict. Governments, desperate to maintain control, launched coordinated attacks against hybrid enclaves worldwide. Soldiers equipped with advanced weaponry hunted the children, seeing them as threats to humanity's dominance. But the hybrids were no longer powerless. United through their psychic network, they fought back with precision and resilience. Their abilities, telepathy, enhanced strength, and energy manipulation overwhelmed traditional forces, turning battlefields into chaotic storms of light and sound. Eli led the resistance with fierce determination. Every skirmish was a test of survival, every victory a beacon of hope. Serena stood by his side, her mind linking fighters across continents, orchestrating movements like a conductor guiding an orchestra. Cities became battlegrounds. Families were torn apart. The planet trembled under the weight of war. Amid the chaos, cracks appeared within governments. Some leaders sought peace, recognizing that coexistence was the only path forward. Secret negotiations began, but trust was fragile and easily shattered by acts of violence. Eli faced impossible choices: protecting innocence while fighting enemies, grappling with losses, and struggling to maintain hope in a world consumed by fear. The war was more than physical. It was a battle for the soul of humanity. As the final confrontation loomed near, Eli prepared for a decisive strike against the forces aiming to eradicate his kind. The outcome would determine not just who survived, but what kind of future Earth would have. In the crucible of war, legends would be born and sacrifices made. The last human war had begun.